A large crowd here. They expect about 15,000 here in chilly Hartford for number 8 Wichita State and UConn, the Shockers and the Huskies.
You've noticed the cold, my friend, huh? It's a little chilly.
Welcome to the Northeast. Greg Marshall, the head coach. Marshall in his 11th year for Wichita State, and he's excited to join the American. He brings a 10-2 team, number 8 in the country, an ambitious non-conference schedule, and they've played well. In the starting lineups, a couple of guards to talk about. For Wichita State, Connor Frankamp and Jalen Adams for UConn.
Frankamp is the type of guy who loves to shoot the three. Watch him not only in the half-court sets, but also on the runouts, the transition. And Adams, I think it's important. He scores at about 18 points per game. The key, though, for Adams is to trigger the basketball, I think, Rich. This is a team, Connecticut, that's had some problems getting into their offensive sets, averaging only 9 assists per game. They have to get that ball moving.
Kevin Ollie, their head coach, of course, in his 6th year, a national title in year 2. That was 2014. But the first losing season in 30 years last year when UConn went 16-17, and no signature win in non-conference play, but he told us that beating a number 8 team in the conference opener here, that would be a signature win.
Yeah, it sure would, and I think the challenge for him is he says his guys aren't down. They haven't really played as well as they're capable of. He thinks there's an upside for this team. They're going to be energetic. They're going to come out almost as if it's like a big heavyweight match. You know, get ready at half court and play it out.
Now, Wichita State doesn't just walk into this American Conference as a nobody. Look at the resume coming from the Missouri Valley. 72 years of history and a dominant performance, 6 consecutive NCAA appearances, and an NCAA win in the last 5 tournaments.
And led by a guy named Greg Marshall, as touched on. He's just an outstanding coach. He understands exactly what he's trying to get out of his players, and he challenges them constantly. You know, 4 times they've had 30-plus win seasons in the last 5 years. Pretty good resume for Greg Marshall.
And for Kevin Ollie, the challenge is share the basketball. You touched upon it. They are last in the country in assists.
Yes.
They have talented guards. Adams is good. Anderson is good. Larrier is good. They just haven't been able to put it together.
And they haven't been able to hit their shots. So 40% field goal percentage overall, only 31% or so from the three-point stripe. So even when the ball has been hopping, they've not been able to hit their shots. Now, I think it's going to be a key for them to try to get on the open floor, but they better be ready to rebound because Wichita State is a very, very strong, aggressive rebounding team.
Better be ready to go in the American. They debut for number 8 Wichita State. UConn is at home, and we start it next.
In my experience, there are only 2 things guaranteed to grow. The cash value of your New York Life policy, a policy that keeps your family protected, and my famous Crunch souffle, which literally never stops growing. Be good at life. New York Life.
This cheeseburger and shake for $3.99 might be the best deal ever.
Next time I'm buying.
Okay, let's shake on it.
Okay. TJ's handshakes regarding real ice cream shakes and cheeseburgers are void if Pete is wearing a sweater and a plaid shirt.
Oh, man.
Get a cheeseburger and a small hand-mixed shake for just $3.99. This is how you Sonic.
Bunch here. UConn trying to open conference play with a win, and number 8 Wichita State looking for a great first impression in the American. Rich Waltz along with Jim Spinarkle, Landry Shamet, and the Shockers. One of the challenges in this conference is travel, and Wichita State had travel issues. Their flight to get here yesterday was delayed. They didn't get to Hartford till 10 o'clock. It's a noon start. They did not shoot around in this building until about an hour before tip-off.
Yeah, and Greg Marshall, the coach of Wichita State, who we had a chance to speak with, as we did with Kevin Ollie before the game. I love Greg Marshall's comments. He said to both of us, he said, I would have loved to have been out here and get my guys a feel for the court. He said, but as far as I know, I think the baskets are still going to be 10 feet. So he's not too concerned about it. He just knows he has to be ready. And the other side with Connecticut, when you think about them, there have been some stories about the fans getting down on this team a little bit early in the season. Good crowd here. It's supposed to be close to sold out, and Kevin Ollie knows that these first 3 or 4 minutes, if Connecticut can come out and hit, go 3 for 5, don't get down 8 or 9 points, you want the fans to stay with you the entire afternoon.
Shaq Morris and Isaiah Whaley on the tip. And away we go in the American. Number 8, Wichita State and UConn. UConn first possession. Jalen Adams has to shoulder more of the ball handling load with Altariq Gilbert out for the year now with a shoulder injury off a screen. Adams thought about a 3. This is Larrier, and he misses his first shot. Wichita State is a superb rebounding team, but they can't hold that one.
A couple of guys just then, and you're right, in terms of really being prepared and ready to go. I'm surprised 2 guys fumbling that basketball out of bounds from Wichita State.
And an offensive foul, a moving screen on UConn's David Honora, the graduate senior transfer out of Cornell. And UConn and Kevin Ollie has had to kind of patch together some spots with graduate seniors. Antoine Anderson's in the starting lineup. He's a transfer from Fordham.
A little 2-2-1, and looks like they're going back into a zone look right now. So this is where you have to watch the middle of the floor. Wichita State will run guys into the middle, and they'll camp them in there for a 1 or 2 count.
UConn opening in a zone. They'll play a little bit of everything defensively. This is Shamet. Entry is down low. Morris's shot won't go. And Larrier has the rebound for UConn.
Pretty good balance there.
Adams misses a 3.
Yeah, see, that's their problem. You know, Connecticut, they just haven't. We've seen 2 open shots already, and they just haven't knocked them back.
Great entry down low, and a left-hand finish from Richard Kelly. And Wichita State is on the board.
Yeah, they love to look at the baseline, whether it's coming down the floor or through their sets in the half court against the zone in particular. And they stick with their straight-up man-to-man. I'd like to see Connecticut try to go by somebody when they're leaning.
And a walk. That's Antoine Anderson with a travel.
So as they come down the floor, Shamet is always looking that little curl pass, and then he lets Kelly do the work after catching it. But look at the delivery. You don't stand at the top of the key area and make that pass, Rich. What you need to do is take 1 or 2 strides to your right. It makes it a much easier delivery.
Shamet averaging 17 points and 4.5 assists.
Watch them in here, Rich. They're going to flare right through there constantly, looking for guys to open up the middle of the floor.
Morris's shot is blocked. It was Isaiah Whaley with the block. No reset on the shot clock. Frankamp, a rolling hook off the glass. And it's a 4-0 start for the Shockers.
Yeah, and you see where they got the mileage out of the middle of the floor again. Whether it's a guard, whether it's a big, a small forward, they're going to slice through the middle. They stay in there for a count of 1 or 2 seconds, and they want to get the ball in there to make something happen.
4 possessions, now 5 possessions.
Wow.
3 turnovers and 2 missed shots for UConn. Hey, New Year's is coming up. What are your resolutions for these 2 teams?
Look at Wichita State. A little extended travel. This is a travel day for them yesterday where they experienced a little problem. They have to tighten up their defense, and I think when you look at the last 2 for Connecticut, improve their team chemistry and distribute the ball, they've already shown in the first couple of possessions where that's a problem.
Lob pass, Morris again down low, and he's pushed out of bounds, and it's a UConn foul.
Raley with the push just then.
Christian Vital is coming in for UConn, and sitting down is Antoine Anderson. Also in the ball game, Mamadou Diarra. Wichita State is deeper, and their bench is better than UConn. So we'll see if that plays a factor as the game goes along.
And they have experience. 9 different guys have started for Wichita State, so they're used to either starting or getting in off the bench. It's a man-to-man switch out front.
Zach Brown going to the bucket. Stripped to the ball. Adams comes away with it.
Yeah, Vital right there.
And the finish! Mamadou Diarra. And a nice way to get on the board for UConn.
And as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, will they be able to get easy points? Now, that wasn't that easy, but they'll take it on the break.
Straight on 3. Zach Brown drills it, the senior out of Houston, known as a defensive stopper.
Yeah, 26% three-point shooter, so that's really not the shot he generally takes.
Adams in the lane, and his floater will go. He has to do a lot of things for this ball club today.
But most importantly, he has to make good decisions, and that was one just then. Breaking somebody down off the dribble.
It's a block. Free throws coming up for Wichita State.
So coming down the floor, there haven't been many easy touches, and there's one right on the money in terms of the break. Make it easy for your big guy. Vital already a steal and a pass. And Adams making good decisions, so a comfort level that looks okay for Kevin Ollie's team, even though they're down to 3 points right now.
Mamadou Diarra with the foul, his first personal. With Richard Kelly going to the line. Already 3 team fouls on UConn. And a review right now. Carl Hess.
Blocking foul for 34.
They were trying to figure out who the foul was on. And it's going to go on Nora. We saw Diarra was trailing the play. Nora took the brunt of the hit, and he picks up his second personal foul.
Yeah, didn't release from the restricted area. Looked like he had pretty good position defensively on that trip.
And already Greg Marshall goes to his bench. It's deep and it's talented, and one of the guys off that bench, maybe Wichita State's best player coming back, and that's Marcus McDuffie. Now Landry Shaman has elevated his game certainly this year, but McDuffie last year led him in scoring, rebounding, and steals. He's in. And off the miss, Darrell Willis with a foul, his first personal.
One of the things with Wichita State is they get about 31 points a game from their bench. And, you know, that's 18th best in the country. So, and they like to press also. So as does Connecticut, they're extending.
Well, Greg Marshall told us that for McDuffie, who played 9 minutes in his first game of the year, in their last game against Florida Gulf Coast, no restriction on minutes, but in terms of being out there, he's not going to be playing 25, 30 minutes today.
No, the key for McDuffie is to make sure he doesn't try to do too much in that short period of time that he may just well be on the court. Nice cut, nice look.
And Larrier's shot altered up on the glass.
That's a nice set by Connecticut with a cut off the high screen. They just have to finish their plays and score.
And McDuffie's pass is knocked out of bounds. UConn's best effort, many felt, was the 35 minutes they played in Tucson against Arizona. They were even at that point, lost it down the stretch. Carlton with the block, channeling his inner Amita Brima with that swat. 7-4, Wichita State, number 8 in the country, a 3-point lead. CBS. There'll be a quiz on that, Jim Spinarco, in the second half. Kevin Ollie.
Thank you.
Kevin Ollie was emotional when he talked to us, talking about getting his team to realize that now is the time to turn it on, to flip that switch.
And what a better challenge in a team like Wichita State, a team that has very high expectations, as they have had the last few years. Once again, it's just straight up man-to-man. Greg Marshall said, if we're in a zone, something wrong has happened this afternoon to us. So
Vital got in deep, ball was kicked. 7 on the shot clock. It's a UConn possession still.
Half of the possessions for UConn have been okay. The other half, where they have 3 turnovers, not so good. Just getting that consistency, as Kevin Ollie said, we just have to continue to work on it.
Adams off the screen, not a lot of time to shoot. Clock is at 3, and a 3 on the way is missed. Carlton keeps it alive. Carlton with a putback. Ball tipped, and it's going to be Wichita State basketball.
Good effort on the offensive glass, as you see with Kevin Ollie encouraging his teammates, but just catch it and go back up with it. Carlton, very good when he gets his position down low with the size at 6'9". Real good on the offensive glass also.
So far, this has been a half-court game. And Greg Marshall told us before the game he's okay with that.
I think that plays into Connecticut's favor, though, to keep the score down.
Fran Camp, a bomb from the outside, and he misses it. And rebound to Jalen Adams. All of UConn's points come from their backcourt. including Vital, and he buries a three.
That's a good spread, too, coming down the floor. Directional by Adams to make sure guys get into their spots. Don't race down the floor and make it a hurried offense. Settle into it a little. Good hands again.
Shamit's pass knocked away. That was Larrier who got a hand on it.
And Vital right there also. He's giving them some good minutes. He's only been out there about 2. I think you're going to keep challenging as much as you can.
Vital again for 3.
And I'd prefer to see them challenge, go towards the basket a little bit more. You can get that shot whenever you want it.
This is McDuffie, and he misfires on his first shot of the day. And that's an issue for UConn. They are last in the country in assists.
Yep.
They do not share the ball well.
Well, if you take the quick trigger shot, you're never going to get the assist.
Adams, wild shot, knocked out of bounds, and it goes to Wichita State.
So when they execute and they spread the floor and they're patient, they go outside. Even though the pass is a little bit low down by the knees, a good recovery, a good catch, and what happens there is that you have your feet set to shoot, so where the pass is isn't going to hurt you that badly.
And now that replay included an assist, and in their last 2 losses, they had just 8 of them. So that's significant. Another turnover, 2 straight for Wichita State.
A lot of traffic. Good job pushing it out.
To the trailer, Anderson, and he misses the 3. There's contact, and bodies hit the deck. And that's going to be a foul on the Shockers.
Well, defensively, we've spoken about Connecticut. They're helping out beautifully. The double teams are timed well. You see it just about every possession. There's always a second guy coming in, and sometimes there's 3. Beautiful defensive effort there, out of the zone, making sure you use your long arms to get in the lane. It's a little deceiving for an offensive guy. He thinks he has an easy pass when it's not.
Eric Cobb in the ball game for UConn, and Austin Reeves has checked in for Wichita State. This is Terry Larrier, who feeds Cobb in the post. Larrier missed most of the last 2 years with a knee injury. Cobb, it's a 3 and he hits it.
Well, he bounced off from McDuffie, who was double teaming on both of those. Once again, there is a much more patient offense.
UConn's first lead and an offside rebound by Antoine Anderson. And there's life in this building, and there's life with these Huskies. Again, another 3. Cobb launching again, and he missed it.
Whenever you get a free one, now look at McDuffie. He goes all the way over. He's supposed to be playing at the front. He's supposed to be on top of and guarding Cobb, who he's not. And Cobb shoots the basketball. Came in not shooting, 0 for 1 from the 3-point stripe. And what does he do? He comes down straight away and then goes to the corner.
He's got 2 threes in the last 30 seconds. He had 1 in a dozen games. An 8-0 run right now by UConn and a 10-7 lead. See, Wichita State has missed their last 5 shots and a pair of turnovers in that sequence as well.
Once again, they haven't been able to really utilize the middle of the floor. And then they're dumped down. So watch for the high-low if they get an angle.
Landry Shamet out of the game. Samaje Haynes-Jones with the ball running the point. McDuffie with a shot clock at 5. Morris spinning. That's tipped out of bounds. And the crowd doesn't like it. It's a shot clock violation.
Either way, they're going to get the ball back.
It was last touched by UConn, but it never hit iron. And right now, Wichita State offensively looks disjointed.
You know, I keep repeating because they like to go to the middle of the floor. They have Willis in there, and Willis can take the basketball, number 21 for Wichita State, and he can make something happen with it. He can either drive it to the basket or look down low for Morris on the dump down. Connecticut knew they were going to try to do that. They're well prepared, they scouted well, and they've not allowed that touch in there.
Kevin Ollie told us before the game he wants to slow things down. And UConn has done just that, and it's worked.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to take the shot clock down to 7 or whatever, but they kind of get good shots. That's a difficult shot off the dribble going to your left, because basically what you need to do is you need to take your upper body on that and frame it back to the basket to make that an easier shot.
Willis a turnaround. Good rebound inside by Tyler Colley, who's in. It's a 10-0 run for UConn. A 5-point lead.
You know, Willis touches the basketball, but outside the middle of the floor, and he falls away. UConn will take that all afternoon.
Adams steps inside the stripe, missed the 18-footer.
Nobody on the offensive glass that trip for UConn.
Haynes Jones, contact down low.
Nice follow-up there by Willis, too. But Haynes Jones is like lightning with the basketball. He will get it down in a hurry. They put him in. It's a different tempo that Wichita State will play at.
He's a local guy. East High School in Wichita. That snaps the run by UConn. Huskies with the ball and a 3-point lead. Adams got 4 points already. Larrier dribbles into a turnover and then a foul. That's double jeopardy.
So they turn it over that trip, but here's Adams getting it in off the penetration, a little bit of a floater off the glass. They need more of that.
Our triple header starts here in Connecticut. UConn a 12-9 lead over number 8 Wichita State, number 24 Florida State, number 4 Duke, Cameron Indoor, and then on to Hinkle Fieldhouse, number 1 Villanova and Butler. That's all coming up on CBS today. Here, Rich Waltz along with Jim Spinarkle. Landry Shamet's been shut down so far, and the number 8 Shockers have had a cold start offensively.
They have, and the UConn team has done a pretty good job. Their bench has 8 points. The starters with 4, so they're getting contributions. Shooting percentages are hovering around the outside temperatures here, though. At around, it's warm in here, I guess, 30% shooting. Outside about 10 degrees, but they have to make things happen. Another good steal. Good look up, too.
Larrier. The steal by Adams, and UConn's run continues. Their lead is 5.
And a nice pass over the top after the steal. Get it to a guy who can handle the basketball, but make that pass in an area that he can catch it easily on the run. The zone continues.
Haynes Jones kicked out by Nerger, and there is Landry Shamet. 50% from beyond the arc, and that snaps a 12-2 UConn run.
And he's a good shooter out of that inside-outside attack that Wichita State has, because he knows that the big guys for Wichita State will throw it out.
Austin Reeves still in there for Wichita State. Terrific delivery and finish. Josh Carlton flushes from Antoine Anderson.
Yeah, the one thing is the finish, but I like Adams and I like Anderson. Both of those guys put it on the floor and attack. You need more than one guy to just dribble it towards the basket. When you release it, a second guy does. That throws all sorts of problems into the defense.
Haynes Jones with the floater, and he misses. UConn already has 5 assists in this game, and if you're asking me, so what? They're dead last in the country in assists per game. They average just 9 a game.
That's an incredible number for a team like UConn, and that's the kind of troubles they've had at the offensive end.
Ball's tipped. It stays with UConn. 11 on the shot clock. Wednesday on CBS, a new amazing race in the new year. Teams that are on top in their field will compete for the $1 million prize. The Amazing Race season premiere Wednesday at 8, 7 Central only on CBS.
So one team, Wichita State, ranked 8th in the country. I would say UConn's playing confidently and more confidently than what they are. They'll move out front.
Well, it's not like they haven't seen this before.
Right, they haven't played good competition.
Yeah, at Arizona and at Auburn is how they finished before the Christmas break. They had Michigan State, they had Arkansas. They just haven't been able to beat any of those teams.
It's a good example, like last possession, Carlton leaving just a little bit too quickly before the set. The timing, the chemistry just been off for UConn, indicative of that 9 assists per game.
Shamet going strong. And UConn doing good work on the boards.
Committee rebounding. 4 guys that trip. Good no shot there.
Vitale, Shamet with the block, but the foul.
See, when you're struggling offensively, Rich, you could take that shot that Vitale just had from the outside, but it's only 5 seconds into the shot clock. So what you want to do is make sure before you take that one, you challenge a little bit. I'd much rather see this guy at the free throw line than taking that quick 5-second shot.
UConn's first free throws of the ball game.
85% free throw shooter.
Wednesday on CBS, don't miss the winter premiere of the new drama SEAL Team. Wednesday, 9, 8 Central, right here on CBS. You have to read that with a very dramatic
I noticed that voice. I was looking over my shoulders.
UConn is winning the war on the boards. They are distributing the basketball. And as a result, they've got a 6-point lead over number 8 Wichita State.
They're +3 on the rebounding against a team that is +11 versus the competition in Wichita State.
Why is this zone troubling the Shockers?
It shouldn't really be, because I've watched a lot of their games and their tapes, and they generally get a guy in the middle. I don't think they're flashing and stopping in the middle of the floor, and when they do, they're not passing it to the middle. They have to continue to look there.
Mamadou Diarra, second personal, 7th team foul. 1-1 now for Shaquille Morris, the senior out of Edmond, Oklahoma. He's been in the starting rotation for Wichita State for a while now. Out of it, but back in for this game.
Be ready to rebound, 76% free throw shooter.
These are the two best free throw shooting teams in the conference. Wichita State at 76% and UConn at 75%. And really a win-win with Wichita State coming to the American. The conference gets the number 8 team in the country. And for Wichita State, they get a better conference schedule, which should help with a NCAA seeds once you get to March.
Let's see if they can get something going towards the basket again. They use this little bit of a weave, and the job is for the guards to determine where the opening is on the slip.
Adams pull up. Missed it. Shamet has the rebound. Wichita State has been unable to push the ball at all. Willis and Darrell Willis Jr., who's averaging 13 and 7.5 rebounds a game with a turnaround from the baseline. The lead is 3.
And that was a good recognition against the man-for-man, because there they didn't have much help at all. It was just a one-on-one, a catch and go. And Shamet recognized that immediately.
Larier, he's a tough matchup. 6'7", long, and can shoot.
He's starting to get his rhythm a little bit also. Coming off 12 points against Auburn. He's scored in double figures in 11 of his 12 games.
Frankamp, great 3-point shooter. Shockers 2 of 5 from distance. And Frankamp buries one right in front of the UConn bench.
And not in front of Anderson, who went flying by him there on that ball fake. What a beautiful, beautiful ball fake by Frankamp. And they know the scouting report. That's exactly what he does. And that makes it 34 straight games for him with a 3.
Adams finds Larier. Good ball fake.
Yep.
Patel
that's tough.
somehow caught it, got hammered, but no whistle.
Wow.
And here comes Wichita State.
Good skip pass here.
Shamet's 3. Good Andriy Shamet.
Good recognition by Frankamp just then. And a good timeout by Kevin Ollie. For the first time, we've seen Wichita State come down back-to-back possessions where they look comfortable at the offensive end of the floor.
Back in Hartford, our Jersey Mike's game summary. What jumps off the page?
Well, rebounding, obviously we've highlighted that because of Wichita State is a +11 in rebounding, so obviously they're very, very good. And I think what you have to look at too is how is Connecticut getting some of their points. Defensively, they have really given Wichita State some trouble in their matchup zone, and they're running the floor. You don't see many easy buckets. There's 7 fast break points for Connecticut, but Adams doing a terrific job of setting the tone, mixing it up, and I love the fact that he's willing to drive it towards the basket to make things happen.
This is a decidedly different UConn team than their last game. They were blown out at Auburn by 25 points. Now, it was the last game before the holiday break, and they had played on the road against Arizona 2 nights before, but Kevin Ollie wasn't happy with the effort, wasn't happy with the result. It's a different team here today, at least so far.
Now, with that last graphic of 5 assists for a team that averages 9, that tells you that they've at least started passing the basketball and getting their touches and moving without the basketball, which has been pretty good.
Adams crossover into the lane, and he got it up and over Morris.
I think that might be Carlton on the other side, though, is it?
Rebounding foul. And it is Josh Carlton, his second personal. And Kevin Ollie doesn't have a whole lot of depth in terms of points off the bench. The big position for UConn is a kind of a jigsaw puzzle right now. Just bits and pieces and parts, whether it's Carlton, Honora, Whaley, or Cobb, or Diarra. All five of those guys are going to play 10 to 15 minutes, it would seem. And here's Cobb back on the floor.
And also problems with at Wichita State shooting the 1-and-1 already. Still have 6 minutes and change left in this half, so if they're smart in attack, should spend a little more time at the line.
And Shamet at 89%.
I was going to say, yeah. You'll take that if you're UConn.
Wichita State, 1 of 5 from the free throw line. Very unshocker-like.
So you're not saying you're shocked, are you? I couldn't resist.
No, I'm not saying. I am not saying that. They're here.
Sorry, bad one. My bad. With this play on.
No harm, no foul.
There you go.
Frank Camp in that backcourt. Brown kicks it out.
It's a man-to-man set. They've had a little bit more success against this. Good skip pass.
Shamet, corner three.
And the guards rebound, especially Adams that trip.
Outlet Anderson, bumped in the lane. Fran Camp with the foul, his second personal.
See how Anderson tried to get to his strong hand in the lane with his left, couldn't get the shot off.
Second personal, 15 foul.
It's a good rebound, and here's a guard who's triggering the fast break. Look at Anderson, tries to cross on Fran Camp, just can't gets bumped before the shot.
It's 5 team fouls on Wichita State. Losing Altariq Gilbert, another shoulder issue, and he's out for the year. It was a big blow for UConn because he was another guy they were counting on for 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 25, 30 minutes a game. And that is added. The man with the ball now all of a sudden has to run the show like he did last year. He led the conference in assists, did Jalen Adams.
That might have been out of bounds.
It hit the bottom
Yeah.
of the
Good catch by the
standard
officials.
there. That's a turnover, and it's 6 turnovers for UConn.
Yeah, just and one of those, you know, it's turnovers you never want to see, but that's an out of control turnover along the baseline. Too much traffic, too many players guarding that. You look for the opposite corner, but you got to make sure you have an angle to get by along the baseline before you try that.
Low scoring start here.
Kevin Ollie continues to switch up his defenses, which he said he would do. Now they're back into the zone.
That's Brown. Zach Brown misses the 3, and it bounces off 2 shockers, rolls out of bounds. UConn down a point, has the possession.
Yeah, Adams initially made a mistake on that play. After the shot, he started to get down the other end of the floor. Then he realized the ball was coming back to the corner, and he got in between the 2 shockers just then to get a possession out of it. So he covered up that one with some energy.
Larrier.
Go. Good hold of the pivot for 2. Didn't walk on that play.
This is Cobb cut off, banging in low, and an offensive foul. Shaq Morris, good defense on the baseline.
A little reach around the hook. And we'll take a look. We'll see if the left arm swings around right there. If you can see from that angle, if you can see his left hand behind Morris, you know that there's a hook involved with that. If he swings it all the way around, but the turnovers continue to mount.
And the fouls as well, 9 for UConn. It's not nearly as deep as Wichita State's. Austin Reeves is back in for the Shockers. This is Reeves, really good 3-point shooter. Shamet in the corner. McDuffie. Not a lot of offensive rebounds for Wichita State, and that's a strength of theirs. But UConn is on a 4-minute drought themselves. Larrier's shot, that doesn't go. Cobb can't handle. Neither can Morris. This is Vital, and he is fouled. Late whistle.
Yeah, it was a little late. but he got hammered on the way to the basket.
But a whistle nonetheless. Vital is down. And a timeout on the floor. Wichita State, number 8. UConn down a point. After 72 years in the Missouri Valley Conference, Wichita State, number 8 in the country, makes their debut in the American, and they get UConn here. So far, UConn has controlled tempo, has defended and rebounded quite well. Rich Waltz, along with Jim Spinarkle, Greg Marshall, told us one of the big differences, travel. He said, we flew over the Missouri Valley
exactly
on our way here to Connecticut.
But you think about pace that you just spoke about. Wichita State averages 86 points per game. They have 21 right now with less than 4 minutes. Let's say they score another, get to 30 before the half is over. That's at a pace of 60. That really plays into the favor of UConn, as long as UConn can control the basketball and not turn it over and get shots.
2 free throws.
Christian Vital, the sophomore, he's had some big games this year. A 30-pointer against Boston, 29-pointer against Columbia.
In the first 6 games, he averaged about 8 points a game. Last 6, he's been averaging close to 17, so he's been taking advantage of his minutes, much more active at the offensive end. And he makes free throws. 2-2-1 look right now.
Austin Reeves still in the game for Wichita State with
slide,
Landry Shamet.
Yeah, and they slide back into their matchup after that 2-2-1.
Shamet looking inside, kicks it, Reeves 3, got it. That's what he does. Last year he hit 51% from distance, 41% this year.
39 of his 53 shots were threes this season so far. So if that's not a scouting report just by looking at and reading numbers in the stat sheet, but he can let it rip, that's for sure.
Adams, tough shot. Trying to do too much.
Yeah, he's worried about getting hit and getting to the line. I think you have to worry more so about putting the ball in the basket.
Corner McDuffie.
There's that high screen against the zone.
And a tough entry. Adams on the reach is going to pick up the foul, his first.
That was a little bit more arm and upper body than it was moving your feet to get into a little bit better position for the steal.
10th team foul, and so 2 free throws for Darrell Williams Jr., the 6'9" senior. This is a team last year that went 31-5, 17-1, and brought everybody back. And their bench deeper. Willis misses on the free throw. Coming up, AT&T at the half. Adam and Seth will update you on action from last night and today. We'll preview game 2 of the triple-header. That's Florida State and Duke. It's coming up on AT&T at the half. Wichita State 2 of 7 from the free throw line in the first half. And that's an issue. Adams.
Middle of the floor is open. Another turnover, though.
And another empty possession. Shamet stolen. And then Shamet steals. Vital went in for the dunk. He'll have to settle.
So McDuffie makes a good defensive play for Wichita State. Shamet gets double teamed at half court. So now he's blocked in. He can't go backwards because it's too late. He's already crossed over. So there's a big mistake by Shamet to cross half court with 2 defenders there. So just the half court line becomes a 3rd defender, and you're cornered in and you're boxed in the middle of the floor.
17 foul, so it's 1-1.
Yeah, and the Connecticut fans all reacted at once then, didn't they? They said, we don't want that foul call. We have a layup going the other end. We'll take it easy, too. Even though you put a very good free throw shooter back on the line.
Remember, UConn had that 10-0 run to take an early lead. Wichita State a 13-3 run, and that snaps that. Vital hits the first of 1-1. Greg Marshall Final Four in 2013, Sweet 16 2 years later. Last year, a number 10 seed in the tournament. Many people felt they were better than a 10 seed. And the hope is that the arrival in the American will help when it comes time for seeding in March. Full court pressure.
A little better conference, maybe some better wins, but with that comes the competition level.
Right, and a tough venue here with 15,000 in the house here in Hartford. McDuffie feeds the post. Willis turnaround. And the offside rebound. Rashard Kelly keeps it alive. Stripped away, and here comes UConn.
Vital again defensively, just been very, very sharp.
Vital trailing. And a three. Maybe not the shot you want after the turnover. There's Reeves again, and you can't leave him alone. He's buried 2 threes off the bench.
Reeves and Frankamp are very similar for this Wichita State team because they both like to shoot the three in transition.
Adams in too deep, and he was fouled. Looked like a Reeves on the reach. His first personal. And Adams to the line to shoot 1 and 1.
First personal, 8th team foul.
Well, the arrival in the American affects everything for Wichita State. It affects their RPI, their strength of schedule, possible seeding, recruiting. All of a sudden, in the conference, you're going into Dallas to play SMU, Houston to play Houston. Adams' free throw is good. Very good recruiting class for Greg Marshall. Now, he's loaded with seniors. Frankamp, Kelly, Brown, Morris.
And from time to time, they will start the 4 of them. Morris has been in and out of the starting lineup.
Nobody can make a field goal. 6 minutes without it for either side. And the lead is 3 for Wichita State. Vital turning up the tempo. Willis launches a 3.
I'm still surprised that the Shockers haven't gotten to the middle of the floor. Oh, baby.
Kelly with a cleanup block. Vital pushes. McDuffie in transition, and the follow by Rashard Kelly. And that's the offensive rebounding that Wichita State brings day in, day out.
Especially Kelly, who gets about 4 per game. So up and down the floor, really not many transition opportunities because of UConn's balance. Be careful with the ball again.
Larrier turnaround is good.
Nearly had that one stripped just then, Rich, but regathered, and I love the fact that he used that pivot foot for a little bit of distance with his size at about 6'8".
Final minute, first half. McDuffie missed it. Again, the offensive board and a foul. Kelly goes to the line.
Yeah, just spoke about it. He really goes after it. 11th in the NCAA with his offensive rebounding. He's tenacious on the glass. Nobody gets a body on him at all. So one of the few times that Connecticut has broken down on the defensive glass.
He is an energy / glue guy, which means he'll stir it up defensively. He's a demon, as you pointed out, on the offensive glass. And Greg Marshall says that's the type of guy you need in your program. You need like 3 or 4 of those guys. And he completes a 3-point play. It's the biggest lead for Wichita State. The lead is 6 with 40 seconds left.
I like the defense here. They come full court. Is there an early hold, I think, out of that one?
And that's going to get Adams to the line.
Yep.
Zach Brown. 9 team fouls now for Wichita State.
First personal, 9th team foul.
And depending on how it goes, they could get the last shot of the half also. So get a couple here, get a stop, and you might be right back close to being tied.
AT&T at the half is coming up. Adam Zucker, Seth Davis. Busy day of college basketball, and this is the first of a triple header here on CBS. Think of the 2 venues where we're headed next. Cameron Indoor, you know that place. You ever have a chance to play at Hinkle Fieldhouse?
There, I've never been. I would love to get there someday. Cameron Indoor Stadium, a little different. Actually got there about a month ago, went down there to watch one of their games. It was a lot of fun. And it was, the students weren't there in full force, but there's still a fun place to go.
Number 24, Florida State at Duke. Duke number 4. That's our next game.
Duke is long. They're young.
And then
they
you got
can score.
Number 1, Villanova at Butler.
I had a chance to see them against LaSalle earlier this year. They are just loaded again with Jay Wright, his coaching ability. Brunson at the point. Bridges continues to get better and better.
All right, about a 9-second differential on the shot clock. Wichita State with the ball and the lead.
And I think you're going to see an adjustment at the half with Wichita State not getting the ball into the middle of the floor.
Reeves, a floater, missed it. Rebound, shot clock. Here comes UConn. 10 seconds left. Adams, Anderson, and it's blocked at the rim. That was McDuffie. Larrier's shot. Foul. Offensive.
Now, Wichita State transition defense was very, very good because they were outnumbered 3-2. But unfortunately for Connecticut, they were tight coming down the floor, and you can't get any real good spacing, and that doesn't allow you to drag defenders away. This should go against Larry, I think, because he went over the top trying for his shot, and he floated just a little bit. Watch defensively. He's going to float towards the basket, and Reeves stays there. That's a good call. That's the right call by the rule. I'm not so sure I love that call, too. But the offensive player has to go up straight and come down. They make the defender do that, so they have to make the offensive player do that. No room, and he slides right into the defender.
And no free throws.
Yeah.
On the player control. Just 2.5 seconds left.
A couple of dribbles.
Shamet did not get it off in time. Well, number 8, Wichita State. Their first half in the American. Number 8, the Shockers, a 33-29 lead. Let's head to the studio. Adam Zucker in New York. Take it away, Adam.
All right, thanks, Rich. Coming up on AT&T at the half, Seth Davis joins me for first half analysis and to ring in the new year with resolutions. After this message and a word from your...
CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA. AT&T. And by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. That is Big Red. Tom Emery. And that is his contribution.
I love it.
That was the chant that Big Red started. It's Big Red Appreciation Day. Rich Waltz along with Jim Spinarco. It does. And you thought you had a nice legacy at Duke.
Yeah.
Look, the first half wasn't pretty. But I think Kevin Ollie's got to be pretty pleased with where they are right now on the scoreboard.
I think he's ecstatic, to be honest with you, because they didn't really shoot the basketball all that well. You look at it, 31% from the floor. They rebounded very well with a team that plus 11. But when you look at it overall, I just think Connecticut, from that perspective, hung in there for the first half. That's what they had to do. If not for this long-range shooting, we'll see a couple of shots. Shamet there, and then Reeves coming down the floor, hitting a couple, and then the defense took over for UConn. They were trying to get some easy buckets. I think they need to do a lot more of this, Rich. Continue to funnel the ball into the middle of the floor, and then just be careful with it. Don't be in a hurry. Make sure once you get a guy beaten to the basket, a defender's going to come up and step up. Make sure you look for your teammate and go under control rather out of control.
The zone really seemed to trouble Wichita State. How does Greg Marshall get the offense flowing here?
Here's one of the things that he spoke about beforehand from a Wichita State perspective. When they go into the zone, into the middle of the floor, a lot of teams just slide cut and come in and out and get in and out of there in the second. What he likes to do is he likes to park a player in there for almost a 3-second count. We did not see any of that in the first half. So as they start this, watch for this area in here and watch for them to get a guy in there and park in there so he can be a receiver and then make it happen. There you see he's sitting in there in the middle of the lane.
Couldn't hold it though. Larrier away with it for UConn. Step through, and he missed the runner.
The other thing is trying to beat them down the floor a little bit, but UConn's transition defense has been very, very good.
Quarter 3, Brown missed it. Offside rebound. And there's the difference maker. That's Rashard Kelly with rebounding position. 3 offensive rebounds in the first half. 6 total.
And you get a 6'7" guy against a 6'2" guy. It's not fair because that ball, when they shoot it on the left, a high majority of the shots are going to kick off to the opposite side on the misses.
Antoine Anderson to foul. It's his 3rd personal for UConn, and that's an issue. Wichita State is deeper. Check that. Now it's his 2nd personal foul.
And just continue to plug the middle of the floor. Connecticut defensively.
Frank Camp. In and out on the 3. Whaley, a stumbling rebound. In a possession for UConn.
And that's a shot that usually goes down for Frank Camp.
Adams hits the jumper. You saw that long drought. Neither team shot the ball well in the first half. Adams hits his first shot of the second half.
Can't stress how important it is for UConn to get off to a good start in these 4 minutes, first 4 minutes of the second half, especially to get their confidence at a level and to get the fans involved.
Brown another 3 and another offensive rebound by Kelly.
It's just terrific, not only foot positioning, but goes after it.
Morris.
Look at him again, over the top that time though, Kelly.
Kelly will foul. He is a demon on the offensive glass.
And so here's a little bit of a push. You get a guard shooting a 15-footer, but going towards the basket. You know, this is one of those shots, and Adams knocks it down. If you can't hit that shot as a guard, one dribble, 15-footer, you're probably playing the wrong game when you have a wide-open shot. So well done by Adams to read the defenders and make something happen with a simple pull-up. Make this simple play if you're Connecticut.
Adams in deep.
Much better decision, Adams, there along the baseline.
Larrier misses the 3, and Shaq Morris cleans it up for the Shockers.
Remember in the first half, Adams had that one off his feet.
Zach Brown finds Frank Camp.
Good fill outside by Brown.
Good lively crowd here, 15,000 despite the chilly weather. And I'm talking 7 degrees with a wind chill down about 0 when things started this morning in Hartford.
I almost didn't get out of bed for this one. I had to wake you up with the second wake-up call.
In fact, Wichita State had trouble getting in here last night.
Yeah.
They arrived at 10 o'clock, did not practice here, did not shoot around with a noon start.
Yeah, you wonder how much of an effect that had on him. The good look down deep.
Carlton, his shot blocked. Morris got a hand on it.
He was 2 feet from the basket and turned that into almost a 4-foot shot. You have to turn and go to the basket there. Don't drift away, especially with your size at 6'9". Go over people. There's the middle of the floor.
Kelly with 2 hands.
Finally, they get a look in the middle, and that's exactly what Greg Marshall really stressed and emphasized before this game. How can we get the ball and get a guy who can catch it and make something happen in there? And I'm sure you'll see Connecticut close the middle of that floor next trip.
Larrier buries an 18-footer. Terry Larrier, 6'8", long, and a very good outside shooter.
Coming off a 12-point effort against Auburn, last trip out.
Frank Camp, ball fake, 3 on the way. And it rattles out. He had a pair in the first half. Another offensive rebound by Kelly.
Yeah, you have to stay on your feet.
Whoa! That one rejected, and appropriately. Catch Shamar Moore in the first new SWAT of the year. It's an episode you don't want to miss. Thursday at 10, 9 Central, only on CBS.
Might be the second SWAT after that first SWAT just then. That was a pretty well-defended play just then by Whaley on a shooter outside.
It's known as good product placement.
Beautifully done.
Wichita State still with the possession. Austin Reeves is in. He hit a pair of 3s in the first half.
Notice the catch. Kelly in the middle of the floor. He's squatting in there and looking for it.
Adams with a steal.
Make a good decision.
Adams steps through. Got it! In traffic.
And I have to be honest and objective. I don't know about that decision from that far out, but the results were pretty good.
Double on the post. Willis misses. UConn couldn't hold the rebound. But some momentum here for the Huskies.
The longer they keep this close, the better for the Huskies. They'll get Wichita State thinking. There's the little traffic drive to the hoop.
Jim Spanarkel with this AT&T Fast Analysis.
So Wichita State, Greg Marshall, watch when the middle of the floor, right in here, and how he gets Kelly there. Now watch, when Kelly stops, he wants Kelly to be in a three-point catching position. So you see the way he's bent over? The reason he wants that is so when he catches it in the opening, he can shoot. Doesn't shoot there, he can drive, or he can pass. So you don't stand straight up and have your knees locked in that position. He wants his guys going in there to be in a position to make something happen. If you catch it in there, do something with it, and he'll let them sit in there, Rich. A lot of times, teams will go in and out real fast. Greg Marshall likes to see his guys sitting there for almost 3 seconds.
Frank Camp, on the inbounds play from
Nice
Kelly,
set.
all drawn up. And Wichita State's lead is back to 3.
Just going to your strength. And Frank Camp is a strength.
Larrier.
They're starting to warm it up at the offensive end a little bit. Larry in particular using his size. And that's just basic, simple basketball again for Connecticut. Don't overdo things. Just make it easy.
Shamet to the corner. This is Reeves. He hits a 3.
And now they're coming at you with 2 shooters on the floor. Shamet can let it go also from the three-point stripe. But Reeves and Frank Camp are going to stretch this out, look for some drives to the basket from Wichita State's standpoint.
They didn't shoot it from distance well in the first half, but the Shockers now have hit 8 of 20 in the game.
So as you watch this shot go around, boom, another ball fake. So Connecticut, I know they blocked 1 shot on the 3 with Whaley, but you're not going to block that many three-point shots. You want to close out in a good position so they don't drive by you.
Mamadou Diarra in for UConn.
Nice
Vital as well, and Vital feeds in low, and Diarra finishes.
Well defended by Kelly just then, and a better finish to go, not ride and overgo and drive through somebody as Vital picks up one way out front. Connecticut with just a little bit of a slip cut here. It goes, and then 2 guys come out, both of them leaving their feet and extended defensively, and it opens it wide up.
Vital, his first personal. And possession for the Shockers. Number 8, Wichita State, opening in the American. Their debut against the flagship franchise of this conference.
See, Rich, there's the opening that I was just mentioning a moment ago. When you have 2 shooters on the floor, okay, now you have to make sure that from a defensive standpoint, you're leaning out rather than in. And a guy like Shamet is so smart with the basketball, he's going to read that and pick it apart. So let's just see if UConn is going to go out and flare to the corners, somebody better from the weak side make sure they stay on the lower blocks in the middle of the lane defensively.
And it's Vital's second personal. Get the CBS Sports app for inside access to your favorite teams. Watch highlights, get breaking news, scores, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today.
So now it's a little different. Fran Camp is on the bench, so the offensive set will be a little different for Wichita State. And I like the comfort zone a little bit better in terms of the chemistry that Connecticut is showing. They don't seem to be panicking when they get into the middle of the floor for a shot.
Whaley. Adams, size mismatch out high. Kelly is on him. Adams looks at the clock, pulls up, shoots the 3 and missed it.
Yeah, this big guy, Diarra, down low, and they're just looking past him, taking a 17, 18-footer instead.
Marcus McDuffie back in a travel. Darrell Willis in the low blocks.
Good adjustment by Kevin Ollie's squad against Greg Marshall's team. A little double down in a hurry.
This has been the pace of this ball game from the very start. It's been a half-court game.
And one team, Connecticut, at 70-plus points.
Larrier sweeping hook. Missed it. McDuffie the rebound.
Wichita State averages 86. We're going to be good catch. That could have been an offensive foul with a little bit of a right-handed swipe.
And that was Willis with the miss. UConn gets the basketball back. The Shockers were picked in the preseason American poll second, right behind Cincinnati. Those 2 teams both in the top 25. There's Wichita State, number 8 in the country. Cincinnati, number 21.
Yeah, Cincinnati knows how to defend, that's for sure.
Adams, crossover. Adams, off the glass, over Kelly.
He used the pick pretty well just then. Very close to a moving screen, but they get away with it. And all of a sudden, you can hear it. Fans are starting to wake up again.
Full house here in Hartford. A big house here in Hartford. Shamet cut off.
Oh, that's trouble.
Vital.
Wow. Oh. On the way down, Rich, on that one with a little bit of a scoop and spin.
And UConn is back on top. Reeves hits the jumper. 17-footer. Shockers by a point.
At 6'5", he's smart enough and strong enough there, to wiry enough to get in the middle of the lane and just get his shot off without any traffic.
Much more rhythm, much more flow here in the second half. Larrier. Kelly with the rebound.
It's a tough shot, too, with Larrier. He can make it, but it's a tough shot when you're fighting your way back. You're down a point.
Kelly driving. Shamet's three. Got it! Landry Shamet. And the Shockers from distance are heating up.
And a nice release pass there by Reeves, too.
Vital and Adams on the floor right now, so a two-guard look. Driving, Vital! Offensive foul.
That was Reeves again.
Shockers heating up from distance.
Little pull-up jumper at the free throw line, smooth as silk. And the long range to give him a little spread on the scoreboard.
It's knocking Villanova and Butler. And Marvin Bagley having a terrific year for Duke. Duke is at home. They haven't played in 10 days. Florida State's a good road team. Remember, they beat then number 5 Florida on the road. So that's a good one. That is coming up after UConn and number 8 Wichita State.
And Bagley is a terrific player. Not only is he a great rebounder and scorer inside, but he also has the uncanny ability to step out at his size, 6'10", 6'11", to shoot the basketball from long range. I think Duke's question will be not so much the offense this year, how they put it together defensively. There's a guy named Coach K who generally knows what he's doing at that end of the floor, too.
Samaje Haynes-Jones is in to run the point for Wichita State. This is Shaq Morris, who got the start today, and a spinning hook there by Darrell Willis.
And that's a power post up by Willis just then. And Morris found him.
And all of a sudden, Wichita State's lead has grown to 6. It's a 7-0 run. It equals their biggest of the game. And we'll see if UConn has an answer here.
Getting the ball in.
Larrier had the ball fake and the finish.
Yeah, they're getting him his touches now.
He's still rusty. 2 years without a lot of basketball.
But starting to get that rust off him, especially in this half. The last 5 minutes, they've been getting that ball and funneling it through him, and he's responding.
McDuffie. Still not in sync. Willis. And a rebound to Mamadou Diarra. Here comes UConn.
You want to pull this one back out. Get your team set, especially in the half, especially when you're missing one guy, Anderson, who was late. He got knocked down on that play.
Lead is 4. Kevin Ollie right now in his athletic stance.
Yep, they're spreading it out for Adams.
Two-man block. McDuffie and Willis both got a piece, it looked like.
And that's where Adams has to make better decisions. You have to be able to read 2 guys coming over, pull up for the jumper, or kick it to the opposite corner.
Good help defense. Vital. Larrier in transition. Lost
watch
it.
out.
Got it back. Adams is pleading for the ball on the right side. Instead, it's inside. Back out to Larrier.
I think I'd regroup. That's a good decision just then to pull that back out. Size advantage if he goes fast. Go right up over him.
Larrier 6'8", and
there you go.
Bangs home.
Smart.
A 10-footer.
He may have gotten hit too just then by Haynes-Jones. That's what he was looking for. He was looking for an N1 call.
And after the run by the Shockers, UConn has an answer. They're within 2. Haynes-Jones, a wild drive. Missed the putback.
Wow. 3-on-2 if they hurry. A delayed break possibly.
Vital counts.
Got Reeves moving backwards, and he could never establish himself defensively. And as a point guard coming down the floor, Rich, you're trying to seize the situation. You see, he's got Reeves backpedaling. He can't get in front of him, and he just keeps coming at him, then uses the body. And once you get that left shoulder, the inside shoulder, to bump and get behind the defender, you know you're in pretty good shape because you're going to get a shot off. Good decision just then to tie this one up.
And a chance to take the lead. Kevin Ollie has a young bench. Almost all of his scoring comes from his backcourt with Adams, Vital, Anderson, and Larry.
Yeah, and with 8 newcomers basically to the UConn program this year, you would think that a team versus Wichita State that has seniors on them, that there'd be more experience at Wichita State's end compared to the UConn end. So let's see how that plays out in terms of not only the experience in getting the shot, but not turning it over and making good decisions.
Shamet, Reeves, and Frankamp, all 3 good three-point shooters in. Morris with a screen. Shamet.
That means the middle of the floor is going to be
Kelly. Tip by Morris.
So when you have 3 shooters, once again, that's going to open the middle of the floor a little bit. Will Wichita State decide to punch it in there as fast as they can? Good execution by Greg Marshall's squad that trip.
First field goal from Shaq Morris. Anderson launches and misses a 3. And the Shockers with a lead in the ball.
Yeah, 27% three-point shooter, Anderson. They'll give him that shot.
Landry Shamet. That's a layup for him. No one in his face. A clean look. 13 points, and he's 4 of 5 from distance.
And how about the poise of Morris? He could have taken that shot, but he baits a defender to come over. That just releases somebody. So there's a little bit of that experience in the last minute playing out for Wichita State.
Back to a 5-point game. Adams.
Good no shot just then.
Larrier.
Wow, watch out.
Way too strong. But Wichita State had it surrounded, but couldn't collect it.
And that's where they get into a little bit of a hurry, UConn. That was a good example of a hurried shot.
CBS Sports College basketball coverage is sponsored by Verizon. Best gifts on the best network. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. And by New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. 4 national titles for UConn. They had that epic battle in '99 with Duke, 2014 as a 7 seed with Kevin Ollie at the helm. Tim Calhoun is in the house, the legendary coach. Ollie was an assistant for 2 years. Ollie was an assistant on one of the national championship team, and then in his second year, in 2014, they won it all. But his ball club this year, Kevin Ollie's, does not have a signature win or a significant win. Adams' shot hits the side of the backboard. And Wichita State has a 5-point lead. We're under 8 minutes left in the ball game.
Every time they drive to the basket, Wichita State has a second guy coming in to help the original on-ball defender.
Shamet. Morris. Big Larrier with the rebound.
Yeah, big possession defensively just then for Connecticut. Plenty of time here. Just continue to keep your composure if you're Connecticut. Run some sets. And head to the basket once in a while with the drive. Just don't go around the corner and around the horn just like this.
Anderson, Vital, long 3, and he missed it. Something tells me that's not what Kevin Ollie drew up in the timeout.
That's not going to get it done.
Shamet strong. Whoa! Carlton with the block. The new year means young Sheldon's back with a new episode. Catch TV's #1 new comedy Thursday after The Big Bang Theory here on CBS. Reeves. Follow won't go. Morris lost it. UConn ball.
I'm just looking at Greg Marshall on the sidelines. He's putting his hands on his head saying, oh, did we ever miss an easy opportunity? Number one with the drive and then 2 follow-up opportunities. But give the Huskies some credit for hanging in there on that play, even though Reeves, who's exiting right now, he just went from about 30 feet out and nobody was contesting him at all.
Number 8, Wichita State. Their debut in the Americans. 72 years in the Missouri Valley Conference. And a dominant force in that conference the last dozen years. Wow. Adams.
Boy, it looks like he's in trouble in the air, but fortunately he can hang a little bit longer than most to get a difficult shot to go.
And a good crowd, and they've been in this ball game.
Good step out by Carlton. Frankamp going away from the basket, going east to west.
Larrier is having to battle with a much bigger Morris down low. Frankamp on the move. Vitale with the rebound.
Whoa. Did you catch Adams just then? That ball nearly went by him.
He was catching his breath.
Yes, exactly.
He's had to do a lot today.
Be patient in the post and go one-on-one if you have it. Now you step.
Carlton with the walk.
Just a little bit of help. Looked like Shamet just then putting his hand back there. You have to, if the guy's coming back, and Kevin Ollie knows that from a guard position, if the guy's going to come back and double team or fake out a double team, let him fake once, hold the ball, let him release. Then you go one-on-one.
And that's a problem for UConn. They don't have a lot of experience with their bigs. Very much a guard-oriented team.
Yes, you may not see many more of those dump-down passes into the post. Good cut in the middle of the floor.
Kelly, 15-footer, hits it. He's got a double-double now. The rebounding machine, Rashard Kelly, 11 points, 11 rebounds.
And a terrific recognition and adjustment by Wichita State from the half in terms of utilizing the middle of the floor against Kevin Ollie's zone defense.
UConn and Wichita State, and a 5-point lead for the number 8 Shockers.
Yeah, and you can see that 2 for 13 for the Huskies. So as we come down the stretch here, and with 5:20 left, you know that they're going to force that ball outside. And defensively, we've seen some pretty good effort, though, against Wichita State by Connecticut, squeezing the middle of the floor down low on the blocks, and then under control on and off coming down. So it's very important for UConn to just be patient with the basketball.
Wichita State not shooting it well as a result of that defense. They're closer to 50% on the season, and they're well under 40% today. Greg Marshall and the Shockers did not shoot around before the game. It was a noon start, and they did not get here to Hartford, Connecticut until 10 o'clock last night. So the first time they had a chance to see this place was about an hour before game time. Larrier! My goodness. At 6'8", he's a real matchup issue.
He sure is. He's able to just leap and go right over people in the simple spreads that they're running. Connecticut has to keep the, gives the lob.
Oh! Loud and proud is Shaq Morris with 2 hands.
Good decision. That's a timeout call by Greg Marshall. First time we get the ball, we're going to run that back at them. Go to the basket with it.
Adams missed on the 2. Morris has the rebound.
Connecticut has to keep them off the offensive glass this position if there's a missed shot.
Frankamp off the screen. This is Shamet. Ball fake. Morris stumbling through the lane.
Jumped out.
It is held ball.
Held ball.
And the arrow goes to UConn.
Connecticut gets bailed out on that one too. Not so much the call because it's the right call, but the fact that Morris was getting ready to shoot it from outside. Defender leaves his feet. Morris had a clear path for a moment to go towards the basket, but good recovery by UConn.
Now remember UConn's game in Tucson against Arizona right before the break. For 35 minutes they were even with the Wildcats, and we're under 4 minutes here. UConn has slipped back by 5 points. Adams off a screen. Shot clock at 6. Larrier, a 3. And a line drive shot misses.
And that's how the ball stalls on one side of the floor and you don't get a good shot off.
Shamet, that's a good shot when you're Landry Shamet.
Sure is, especially when you read your defender going behind the screen. Can't make that kind of decision defensively for a guy who shoots it as well as he does.
Adams spinning and scoring. Terrific move there. That 8-point lead was the biggest of the ball game. And now it's back to 6, and the crowd wants defense.
Just a simple screen again. There's another shooter.
Fran Camp. Oh, straight on. We were right behind him, and that was as clean as you're going to get.
So they go one side to Shamet, who goes up and gets his shot off behind the screen. A totally different look for Fran Camp, who was wide open after that little bit of a push. A 9-2 run by the Shockers.
Next Sunday, CBS Sports Network. These Wichita State Shockers, number 8 in the country, are back home in the Roundhouse. In the American, they'll take on USF on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. And the Shockers much more fluid in the second half.
And an experienced team, what do? They come back with the lob after a timeout. Then they go to work on the offensive glass. And here's just some simple basketball. Fran Camp going deep. Nice delivery by Shamet. The key thing is Shamet not looking to score. He's looking to set his players up. And pretty good effort in the last 3 minutes or so by Wichita State, showing their experience.
9-point lead is the biggest of the ball game. And let's see where UConn goes for points here. Adams, Anderson on the baseline. Against Fran Camp.
Trying to isolate Fran Camp, but the double team is coming.
Adams fall away, missed it. Good rebound there by Zach Brown, and now Wichita State in their American debut. 2.5 minutes left and a 9-point lead. Shamet. Morris. Shaquille Morris. And the lead is 11 now. Wichita State has taken this big crowd out of it.
That's going to help a little bit. Connecticut's going to go full court now. They can be a little bit more aggressive, I think, with the way, the free throw shooting hasn't been great for Wichita State. You may have to foul a little earlier than need be.
Well, they have just 4 team fouls right now. So you might as well be over-aggressive. But you got to put yourself in a position where a foul means free throws.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you got to play aggressively right now to get that to the point of getting close to the bonus, because that, in fact, good defense sometimes will hurt you when you're behind, especially as the game clock starts to dwindle down. So they can really be aggressive.
Pick and roll, Morris jumper, missed it.
Yep.
And there is the offensive rebounding machine.
Yeah, he's good
known as Rashard Kelly, best in the American Conference, top 10 in the country. And Kelly now with a dozen rebounds.
And the ball just doesn't come to him. He understands. He reads the shot. He knows the offense. He knows the percentages of where the ball is going to come off the glass, and he goes after it. Nice combination.
Fresh shot clock. UConn letting Wichita State play.
Yeah, they're letting them take a lot of time off the clock, though, right now, by design by Wichita State. Eliminate the possessions that Connecticut will have on the offensive end of the floor.
Shot clock to 7. Good look inside, and Morris. That's an outstanding possession.
Sure is. About 5 seconds on the shot clock. That's the experience of a very, very well-oiled machine in Wichita State working the clock.
Adams misses from 18. Larrier collects it. Larrier scores it. Lead is back to 8. Now you really have to foul again.
Yeah, I think you really go after it.
You have only 5 team fouls, so
that's a good foul right there.
Burn it now and try to get Wichita State to the line.
So here you get this pass in, you go for a quick steal. I think you continue to go for the foul down 8. It's a 3-possession game. Anticipate that maybe you'll get lucky. Wichita State will miss 1 out of 2 at the free throw line. Problem is they have some pretty good shooters.
Yeah, the guy with the ball in his hand is a very good shooter.
Yeah, 91%.
Austin Reeves.
And he's not giving it up because of that.
Shamet's a good free throw shooter. Shot clock's at 15.
You got a 91, and this guy's an 89.
And the foul comes.
Watch out.
Shamet was fouled and then collided in the lane with Diarra.
So he comes around the corner, and that foul occurred out on the perimeter. But that previous possession, Rich, when you go back, the one that Wichita State scored on, it took a lot of time off the clock. It took about 25 seconds off the game clock, and now all of a sudden you're really playing desperate basketball if you're Connecticut. Let's see what he does at the line. Look at those numbers on the left, 89%.
16 points, 6 assists, and 1 turnover in this game, and an offensive rebound, but thrown away. Vital has it in transition, going to the rim, and he's fouled.
Nicely done. Nicely done. You stop the clock, get to the line. Vital is an 85% free throw shooter. Not that the numbers mattered down the other end for Shamet just then.
Well, Wichita State had a big lead that they wished they had back, and that was the championship game in Maui. Notre Dame came from way back and beat them by a point. That's one of their only 2 losses this year. The other was to the Trae Young show and a red-hot Oklahoma team. They lost by 8 to Oklahoma.
It's pretty good show that Trae Young puts on when he goes out there. 22 assists a couple of games ago. What's he averaging, about 27 or 28?
Yeah, it is quite a show.
Yeah, it really is. All right, so here's Connecticut now. Make a free throw, go to your full court press, a quick inbounds pass, and then you try for a steal and try to get a foul within maybe 3 or 4 seconds. So you want to foul with 32 or so on the clock.
You know, on the other end, Wichita State has just 3 team fouls. So they can burn some fouls when they're defending here without giving up free throws.
Still take time off the clock.
Yep. 6 points separates Wichita State and UConn. 32 seconds left. 6 points separates Wichita State and UConn. There's our reset. UConn's out of timeouts, and Wichita State only has 3 team fouls.
Yeah, and with the possession arrow, too, one of the things that goes unnoticed sometimes is you can hold on to the ball and take a tie-up rather than throwing a bad pass for a turnover.
Now, Wichita State has had a miserable time shooting free throws, and no foul there. Shamet gets away into the corner. Reeves, 2 hands with McDuffie.
Well, I thought they fouled Morris, too. The call that wasn't called.
Vital.
Oh, boy.
Morris with the block. And the Shockers putting the finishing touches on a great American debut. Their first game in a new conference on the road at UConn. And the Shockers, who circled this date a long time ago, it finally arrives, and they do as well in the American.
Yeah, I thought it was an impressive second half for Greg Marshall and his team, the way they adjusted, the way they spread the floor. They're experienced, bunch of seniors. Shamet is terrific, spread the floor with his shooters. A whole lot of different looks they throw at you, make it difficult to defend.
Greg Marshall and his team didn't get here until 10 o'clock last night. He said on his way here, he flew over the Missouri Valley. And it just illustrates the difference in conference in terms of geography. Lethargic in the first half, much, much better in the second half. Number 8, Wichita State, a 10-point win here at UConn. For Jim Spinarco, I'm Rich Waltz. So long from Hartford. Number 8, Wichita State, the winner. Coming up, game 2 of our triple header. Florida State at Duke. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.